Alright, first grade, so at this point you have your acorn made, you have the top, the bottom, and now it's time to do the leaf. So you're going to take one of these templates, and you're going to take your piece of clay, and sometimes it doesn't fit perfectly if you just go like this. So Miss Fernelli, I need a bigger piece of clay. No. So what you have to do is you have to try to figure out how to make it work. So I'm rearranging, maybe it doesn't work that way. Maybe I have to turn it this way. And I'm going to make it work. Okay, so I found it. So if I kind of press this down just a little bit into my clay, it'll start to stick. And then I can take my pencil, and I'm not cutting through with my pencil, I'm just drawing the line with my pencil. So I'm drawing around, I'm holding down as I go. Again, I'm not cutting all the way through. If your clay starts to have little bits like this, see that? See if I can focus a little bit better. See how it's all right there? So you can just take those bits off. And I'm going to keep going around, cleaning off my pencil as I go, holding the thing that you're tracing with, and go all the way off. You can also go over those lines so that later on you'll have an idea of where they go. It's totally fine. If you're using a pokey tool, do not do this. Only do it if you have a pencil. And I'm only pressing, I'm not trying to go all the way through. So it's going to give me kind of a mark of where that goes, and I can kind of see it right there. So I can draw that. Or I can wait until later to draw it on. Okay, so what you're going to do is you're going to take a knife tool. Do not let me see you using this tool to cut out. This tool is not for cutting. You will bend this and you'll make it come out. So what you're going to do is you're going to take your knife tool and you're going to go around and through that guideline. And then if it's hard for you guys to get around a shape, watch this. Just pull it off. Okay, and then keep going. Make sure you're all the way down on the table with this. Okay. Do what are called relief cuts when you do stuff like that. I'm going to try to stay as close to my line as I can. So you can use one of these knife tools to do it. Make sure your hands and everybody else's hands are out of the way. And you can also use one of these tools. So you just go in, you use the corner of it. Be careful of the bottom edge. And if you're using one of these tools, you'll have to do a lot more of these little relief cuts. Or you should do a lot more of those relief cuts and make a pile of all your extra clay with your classmates. So do not continue to play with your extra clay. If you play with your extra clay, then that clay is going to dry out so that no one else can use it. Okay. So now I have some really rough edges. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back to my handy dandy little cup of water. And I'm going to smooth out these edges. Also, as soon as you are done with your template, hand it off to the next person so they can get started. Because we do not have one for everyone. So I'm just smoothing it out. Again, just like when we were making the actual pinch pot of our acorn, use just a little bit of water. So you're smoothing out those edges because later on, if you don't smooth them out, you'll have really, really rough leaf. Okay. Smoothing those out. Now I'm not going to add any more details to the leaf until after I attach this. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to do this thing called score, wet, and weld. So scoring it means I'm going to scratch it up. And yes, I'm scratching up over my name. Before I attach this, I'm actually going to write my name on the other side of my leaf. So scoring it means scratching it up. You're scratching up the bottom of the acorn. You need to take this off, make sure you can still get it off, and write your name and your class code. Remember that, your name and the first letter of your teacher's name. Flip it back over. Make sure you haven't messed up anything. Always important. So I scored it, and I'm going to find where I want to put it. So I think I want to put it back here a little bit. And I'm going to press it down just a little bit, but then I'm going to peel it off. And the reason why I press it down, see how it made all those little dimply marks? That means I can scratch up that area now. So I have to scratch up both the top and the bottom. So I have to make sure that I'm doing that. And the reason why I'm scratching it up is because when I scratch up this water or this clay and then I put clay on top of it or put water on top of it to make it stick, it'll create like a suction cup and it'll make it so that the two pieces will stay together. But the suction cup doesn't last forever. It only lasts until the clay dries out. So for me to make sure that these pieces stay permanently together, I have to weld them together. So take it, I'm going to push down a little bit, I'm going to wiggle and push a little bit. And so now I have to do this thing called welding. So now I'm going to get down so you guys can see what I'm doing. Let me get down here so you all can see exactly what's going on. Okay, so we see it? Let me flip it this way so you guys have better. And let's refocus this. So we have to weld them together. So what we're going to do is take one of our tools, one of our clay tools, this curved one, and we're going to go up and we're going to push down. We're going to push some of that clay down. You have to do it all the way around. Pushing it down. See how I'm pushing some of it down? See how that's working? There we go. Much better. So now you guys can see. You have to make sure you're pushing it down. Then I'm going to come over here and do it. Taking from the top, giving it to the bottom. And then you go all the way around doing that. So I'm going to go around my whole thing, welding it on. Going all the way around, really making sure that it's connected. Okay, so now it's really rough. Okay, so now I have to turn this whole thing. Okay, see how it's really rough right there? I'm going to take my finger and I'm going to start to smooth it out. See how I'm smoothing it out right there? If I have extra clay, I can take off the extra clay. And now I'm just going to move it so that I can actually see what I'm doing. See how I'm just smoothing it out with my finger. I'm going to keep rotating my acorn, keep turning it, turning, smoothing it out. So you're pretty much making your clay piece become one, your two different pieces of clay now become one new piece of artwork. Smooth it out, try not to break your leaf. Okay, so it's all welded together. I'm going to flip it back over now so you guys can actually see what's going on. And I'm going to refocus so you can really see. And so now my leaf is actually on here. I can kind of pinch my bowl, my shape a little bit. I kind of pinched it with my hand so it made more of an acorn shape. And now I can do some final details like adding texture and adding the vein of my leaves. So I can draw a little line, maybe a line over here. I can look at the template, it's probably still on my table. Okay, so that is the basics of making our acorn. If you guys have any questions, let me know. But the final thing we're going to see is how to add texture onto the top of our acorn.